So we should start off with the very first topic, and probably one of the biggest talking points of the trailer, and that is the return of Steve Rogers. Now,
Mm.
we
Mhm.
already knew Steve Rogers was coming back because you did say we didn't get anything at Super Bowl. Technically, we did. We got those
We
four
we did get
mini
the
trailers.
snippets that were leading up to the Super Bowl when, House of Ashes, was in theaters. Is that what no, Fire and Ash,
No,
what am I saying? Fire and Ash was in theaters.
yeah.
Um,
Do
but yeah, we got these snippets during, the release of Avatar: Fire and Ash. We saw quite a bit, they revealed quite a bit, and we've just been waiting very patiently ever since. And one of those big reveals that they did was Steve Rogers. Immediate, like, it's like, how's this gonna go? How's this gonna go?
It's very interesting to see what they'll do with Steve Rogers because it's like, yeah, okay, Steve Rogers, the first Captain America. It's nice seeing him again. But I'm also thinking, like, what does Steve Rogers really bring? Because Steve Rogers is good at two things.
Yeah.
Because of two things. He can lift Mjolnir, but we know Thor can do that already. And he's a super soldier. I mean, between John Walker, Red Guardian, Bucky Barnes, we got a fair share of super soldiers already on the team. And it's not like we need another Captain America because we got Captain America, Sam Wilson. So what's
Yeah.
the reasoning behind Steve Rogers specifically coming back, and what's his involvement in basically the multiversal shenanigans that we're going to face?
I have a feeling, and this is heavy speculation. I saw a theory online where people thought that the Steve Rogers with the long hair that we saw in the trailer, I think the one that we saw of him in the house, with Peggy, stuff like that with his kid, that's probably the real Steve Rogers from back then. There's a theory going around right now of the Steve Rogers in the film with the long hair, not the one that we saw in the first teaser where it's him holding his kid, holding up the Captain America suit. That's the real Steve. The one in the trailer with the longer hair and the beard, that is speculated currently to be Loki. That maybe that's not actually Steve Rogers. Which, if they did that, I was like, oh, that could be kind of cool. It could be a way to reintroduce Loki to the entirety of the Avengers, stuff like that. Um, but also it's just kind of it's like, how are they gonna make this work? Like, why would he turn into Steve Rogers? Why is this such a big deal? And even if it's all true, how the hell is he picking up Mjolnir?
There is another theory that I've seen about Steve Rogers in that, again, you can make an argument there's this two Steve Rogers, one from the teaser trailer that looks like the classic Steve Rogers that we know, with like the clean hair, the clean shaved, all that. And then this one, which is has a beard, longer hair, looks more like when he was on the run during Infinity War and Endgame time.
Yeah.
There is a theory that this Steve Rogers that we see, because this film's going to be dealing with the multiverse, that this Steve Rogers is actually Captain Hydra from the comics. Now, do you know who Captain Hydra is?
Yes.
Okay, for the people who may be listening and don't know, the very, very basic rundown of Captain Hydra is during the comics, specifically leading up to the setup of Secret Empire, the big comic event of 2016. Funny enough, took place the year after Secret Wars, which came out in 2015. Um, there was this cosmic cube that altered reality and made it so Steve Rogers was actually a sleeper Hydra agent all this time. That's the very, very basic stuff of it. If you want the full on, in depth looking at it, I would recommend reading Secret Empire. That's the whole story of it. If you want to get into comics, that's where you start. But that's the very
Really,
basics of what you
really
need
cool
to know.
comic run.
Yeah, that's the very basics of what you need to know about the character and who Captain Hydra is. And they did actually pay a reference to this Captain Hydra in Endgame when you had the elevator scene where Steve Rogers tricks the Hydra agents to believing he's also a Hydra
Yeah.
agent. He does the Hail Hydra, which was a very big moment in the comics, a very controversial moment in the comics, but it was a fun little nod reference to that.
Yeah.
Now people are wondering, like, could this be Captain Hydra? Instead of doing the whole cosmic cube setup and doing it that way, we'll just, say from another reality. Because this film's dealing with the multiverse. We're going to have to see probably a ton of different universes. It's just easier to say he's come from a universe where, he was a secret Hydra agent this whole time. That may be a possibility. But do you think Marvel would do that? Do you think they would do the whole Captain Hydra thing?
I feel like they would, but I feel like the timing of when you think that they're doing it is just a little off because I don't think as a way to make, the multiverse a big deal and, make it a big deal that RDJ is playing Doctor Doom while also having the X-Men come in, stuff like that. I think it's a little bit much if they're going to throw in Captain Hydra just because it's like it's like a bit much, isn't it? Like there's just like I feel like there's just too much going on at that point. We already have a pretty big cast of characters that we have to make interact for the first time. And then trying to throw in a fourth plot line in the midst of that is probably going to be a little difficult. So as cool as it would be to see Captain Hydra, I think I would totally be down for it. I think it'd be very cool to have him appear in the MCU in some fashion. Um I don't think now would be a good time for it.
I think the reason why people are theorizing that he's going to be Captain Hydra is throughout the film, you think he's helping everyone, and then that's going to be the big twist at the end. Now, I don't necessarily know if they will do that. I guess I can see where people are coming from, but I am wanting to know, like, we saw this, why are they bringing Steve Rogers back? They have to bring him back for something reason. I don't want to say, like, obviously, we kind of can guess the real life reason for it is because Marvel, well, they've not been doing terribly. They haven't been doing, like
They
reception
haven't
wise, and yeah, they haven't been doing the
they haven't
best
been doing the
recently.
numbers that they used to do. It's like they had to pull out some big swings.
Yeah,
So their best method was like, we already have RDJ, already have Hemsworth. Let's bring in Evans. That's
yeah,
probably what they that's probably what their deciding factor was. I do think with Steve Rogers, if it is the real Steve Rogers, I hope that they focus on the fact that he's not Captain America anymore. I hope he is kind of just Steve because
yeah,
I want Sam Wilson to be Captain America. I want him to stay Captain America. The mantle is passed. He has the shield. Steve can have Mjolnir
yeah.
because Thor has Stormbreaker now. So it only makes sense, I think, to me. It only
Yeah,
makes sense.